Okay, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good, good.
Great, thanks.
So I'm gonna share my screen here. I know it's here somewhere. Where did I put it? Share, there it is. Okay. Oh, wrong screen. Are you guys seeing the agenda?
Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so it's been a long time, so there's a lot to go over. Sorry I couldn't do it sooner. It's been super busy, a lot of sick people in our office, so I've just been trying to stay afloat. First thing I wanted to go over is the concurrent on campus stuff. So if your students are taking classes on our campus or online with one of our instructors through the concurrent on campus program, there is an electronic MOU now. So they just have to log into my CE or go to that link that's on the website and fill out the electronic MOU. Students are registering themselves. You guys already know that because we went through that for spring. But I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on the concurrent on campus stuff. The nice thing about this electronic MOU is we can see it right there. We don't have to go searching for it like we have had to in the past. The tuition issues are still an issue. Students that are doing both early enrollment and concurrent enrollment are still going to have those tuition issues. We are trying to find a way to catch them before they happen. They were able to do that for some students, but there was a lot that they've missed. So if you still have students that are getting incorrect tuition, just make sure that you're sending those students or emailing the bursar operations at slcc.edu. That's the email right here. I'm hoping that we're not having any issues with tuition for the classes that are taught at the high schools. I haven't noticed any major issues there. So if you do see any, let me know. I'd like to get that under control. One of the talks that is coming up right now is possible changes to early enrollment and concurrent on campus. So one of the things that they're talking about doing, just because this tuition issue has been such a huge time taker of both our office and the bursar's office, as well as some of the other offices are getting calls. They're talking about making it so that students will not be early enrollment and concurrent enrollment at the same time. They're going to have to pick or choose. They're going to, if they want to do concurrent enrollment, they cannot be early enrollment. And if they want to be early enrollment, they cannot be concurrent enrollment. So that's might be coming up. They're still talking about it and what that impact will be. So just be aware that that is something that could happen. Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm gonna put my chat up here so I can. Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat. I've got it up so I can see right away. CE deadlines. So back when we started using the USHE application, and just so you know, if you are a private school, this does not apply to you because you guys don't use the USHE application. But when we started using the USHE application, it was such a pain that we pushed all of the deadlines back a week. And so the admissions deadline ended up being a week later than it was, and the registration deadline ended up being a week later than it was. That has caused some problems for some schools, just because they're so far into the semester by the time that those deadlines happen that if a student doesn't get in, it's hard to move them. And so we have to be very careful how we set our deadlines. And so we are going to be moving those deadlines back to where they were. So for this first year, I am only going to be moving the admissions deadline back that week. So there'll be about a 2-week, 2 weeks between the admissions deadline and the registration deadline. That should help with these admissions processing times as well. So it might be a good thing. The second year, I'll be moving the registration deadline back to where it was as well. But so starting next year, they will be a week earlier than they were, or they have been the last couple of years. The other thing that we are working on is possible, I've been kind of looking at possible ways to make the admissions processing go a little faster. We've been talking to our admissions office about maybe even training a couple of our staff in our office to help process those, particularly during busy times. We haven't really heard back on that yet. So as soon as I know for sure, I'll let you guys know, but I am working on possible ways to help with this admissions thing, because I know it's been taking a while and it makes it really hard for you guys. Just make sure that you guys are aware of the deadlines, like when a student is dropping or adding a class, if they're taking it at the high school, they need to follow the concurrent enrollment calendar. If they're taking it on our campus, they need to be following the academic calendar, except that registration deadline. Because of the way that we're having to do concurrent on campus, they have to follow that registration deadline that's posted on the concurrent on campus website. So as far as classes, the changes that have been made, I've kind of been waiting for all of the information to come in to announce it, but we've slowly been announcing it. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. So what used to be biology 1400-1405 is now environmental science. That was canceled last year because of some issues, some curriculum changes. There wasn't a lot of curriculum changes, but enough that UC said it needs to be reapproved, and our biology department wasn't ready to do that. So it got canceled last year. It's coming back for 25-26, but it will be called environmental science 1400-1405. So that is available next year. Some new ones, marketing 1010, EDU 2140, and geography 1000 is already aligned, but we're realigning it to earth science. It used to be, I think, a social science. So now it's going to be an earth science. Chem 1210, 1215 is also going to be coming back for 25-26. And we are no longer going to be offering geography 1700. They found that geography 1700 is not transferring well to the other USHE institutions, and so they don't want to be offering it anymore. We don't want students thinking that they're going to get credit for it if they're going somewhere else. So they just decided it would be best to get rid of it. Any questions there? EDU 2140, let me pull that up. So it's technology in the classroom. It's one of the classes for EDU. It does not fulfill any of the gen ed requirements. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to David Curl. It's just david.curl, Kearl, at slcc.edu. He can tell you a little more about it. That's all the information I have is what's right here. Let's go back to this. AP scores. So they are coming in much, much faster. You know, in the past, it's taken them, 3 to 6 months to get to us from AP. We did finally get our software up and running. We are getting them electronically. We're receiving them in like 3 to 5 days. But they did make some changes over there where the credit for prior learning is not entering them. It's being entered by, sorry, I need to turn that off. It's being they're being entered by our testing center, so it's taking them a little longer to enter them. So you still need to be making sure your students are trying to get those AP scores into us as quickly as possible. I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, just making sure that your kids are getting their AP score sent in. If they send them in after our test score benchmark, they do not qualify for a late registration. I've been pretty lenient this year with all of the issues we've had in the past with that new USHE application and other issues, concurrent campus stuff. I've been pretty lenient with deadlines, but it's gotten a little out of control. So we're going to be a little more strict with deadlines, and I'll go over that a little bit later, but just make sure that they are getting those AP scores in before the test score deadline, which is usually the same day as applications are due. They're not accepting appeals for AP scores anymore, so they have to send them to us from AP. So just make sure your students are aware of that. CLEP scores, we've been getting a lot more of those. Just make sure they're aware. Just because they take the CLEP test at Salt Lake Community College does not mean we have the scores right away. Those actually are administered through the same people as AP, and we do not get those electronically. So those will actually take even longer to get to us. So those are taking, you know, the same 3 months to get to us and get processed. So just make sure your students are aware that the CLEP test is going to take a while because it's sent to College Board and then sent back to us through snail mail. Gen Ed changes. So I've had a lot of questions about Gen Ed certificate. This says 28 credits. I was corrected after I wrote this. It's actually 27 credit hours minimum. Some of the changes that are coming, there are no COM 1010, COM 1020 is no longer required for the AS or the AA degree or the Gen Ed certificate. It's only required for the AAS degree. And there's some other ones that are like different AAS degrees have different requirements. So there's actually a human resources and HR credit that's required for some. So if they're looking at an AAS degree, they probably want to just look at what is required for that. But for the Gen Ed certificate, communications is no longer required. The HLAC requirement is going to be gone starting fall 2025. If they are graduating summer of 2025 or sooner, they still have to do all of these things. The International Global will no longer be required, and the Fine Arts is changing to AR. The other one that is changing, the EN is now going to be WC. So those two things are changing. They're the same thing. They're just a different designation. So, and then also the diversity credit is no longer required. So there will not be a new sheet. Brandon is adamant about that. He did create one that's like kind of it's based on like somebody who's trying to go into engineering for the AS degree in engineering, but he really doesn't want students that know where they're going to be following that Gen Ed, because some of the Gen Ed requirements are different for different AS degrees. The academic planning tool actually is a really good tool for students who are trying to figure out what classes to take. And if they go in and they put in Gen Ed, I don't know what it is I want to be doing, they can do the Gen Ed certificate and it'll tell them what classes qualify for the Gen Ed certificate. So it is actually a really good tool. It can be kind of cumbersome for some students, but there are instructions. So
Becky, really quickly, can I just tell you that one of the biggest things that we used that for is advertising to parents and telling them that they needed to get on board and do these concurrent enrollment classes. And we don't have access to the academic planning tool until the student has an S number.
Yeah, so there is still that checklist that you can use that. It's just, like I said, it's as an example. It's more of an example. Like, don't it's saying like, this is what you would take if you were an engineering student, but look at the academic planning tool. So you can still give those out to parents and students.
Okay.
And it kind of gives them like direction on where to go to try to figure out what classes they want to sign up for. So yeah, there's not it's similar, but it's not exactly the same. So you can look at it, and if you have questions, let me know on that. Yeah, so I know there's a push to use the digital plan tool, but to see the general idea. So they still get a general idea of what they need. So like this one, it kind of shows them like, you don't have to take a physical science because that's part of your degree. So, don't go in and take physics 1010 or chemistry 1010 if you're going into an engineering degree, because these other physical sciences are required. So it is actually a little bit more helpful for them to do that, because then they're not taking classes that they don't really need. But if they're, really don't know what they're wanting to do, they can still do that gen ed certificate too. So, as far as PTA 1010, we're still waiting to hear from the department. So there's a few classes on that list that do not have requirements on there. We're still waiting from the departments to send us the information so that we can get that on there. So Sarah's asking what's the digital tool to plan classes. So that is it's a digital academic planning tool that is part of MyCE. So students, once they've applied and they become students of Salt Lake Community College, they have access to MyCE, and they can go in and make an academic plan. If you have questions, you can reach out to the advisor that is assigned to your school. They can kind of tell you. The checklist we're referring to is on our website. If you go into the coordinator resources, there's a certificate of completion checklist for students. It used to have just basic gen ed stuff, and then it had some other stuff on the back. Now it's kind of referring them to like, this is what you would do if you were doing this degree, but really you should go to the academic planning tool to decide. So for general reference, we just cross out communications, international, global, and diversity, and have them use their planning tool. Correct. As well as the HLAC requirement. So somebody came up here and said, admissions question. I've helped a couple of 8th graders with signing up as a concurrent enrollment student to be prepared for next year, and plans on having an 8th grader planning take classes in 9th grade sign up in March. One student showed up in my CE, but it is no longer showing up in there. When is a good time to have incoming students apply for admissions for fall 25? So the data that is sent to USHE from USBE is not always correct, particularly I think before July. And so if they were showing up in my CE before, but they're not now, it's probably because they gave us the wrong graduation date. If they have an S number, if they've received an S number from Salt Lake Community College, you can send in a support ticket and put their name and S number in the notes and say, please update graduation date to this date. And we can get their graduation date updated correctly. They've been a little bit stubborn about changing graduation dates over in our admissions office. So you may want to include a copy of their transcript with their graduation date if you have it. But yeah, that's why they disappear, is we have a bad graduation date. So it's making them inactive in our MyCE program, showing that they've already graduated. Okay, any questions on the gen ed? Any other questions on the gen ed changes? No difference between FA and AR. That's the same thing. They just changed the designation. We're following USHE's stuff. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So they are calling it AR. So we just changed ours to AR. I don't even know what AR stands for or something. the other one that, like I said, that's not on here that I found out, or I remembered after I wrote this, was the EN. So the English classes used to be designated EN. Those are now WC. So no changes, other than, oh, there was one class up here that I just noticed is not on here. There was another new class, English 2100. So that is a technical writing class that students can take instead of English 2010. It is meant for students that are in more of the STEM programs. So I know in the past 2010 has worked as well, but yeah, they just recently got the English 2100 approved as well. So those all should be ready to go for teacher applications in my CE. If you come across any problems, let me know so I can fix it. But I tried to go through all of those yesterday to make sure they were all available for you guys to put in teacher applications. Class caps. So political science 1100. I kind of announced this before, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. It used to be 35. The political science department got a request to have it up to like 40 one day and said, no, we're supposed to be at 30. And I said, well, I'm not doing that now. But for 25, 26, it will be 30 seats. Cap increases, I've been getting a lot of those as well. Our departments give me a lot of issues about it when I request cap increases. So what I will need you guys to do when you are requesting a cap increase is to send me an email with a request. You also need to include a reason why it happened, why you ended up going over the caps, and what has been done to fix the issue in the future. And just be aware that it will be a one-time exception. So if you're sending me something every semester requesting cap requests, they're going to be denied. So some of our departments are really, really strict about their caps, and they give me a really hard time about it when I ask for it. I will tell you right now, if you're asking for a cap increase in English of any kind, they're gonna give us a lot of heartache about that. They won't go over 25 average. So is the cap for Pulse or for every class? No, just political science is going to be reduced. All the other ones, as far as just, they'll stay where they're at. If there's not one listed in that list of the classes, if there's not one listed, it'll be set at 40. So everything else will still stay the same. Oh, I think I already went over the changes to deadlines. I don't know why I put that on there again. And so concurrent on-campus requests, deadline registration for fall 2025 is going to open when the schedule is available. That's usually mid March. And then that will close on May 31st. They have to be registered by May 31st, not requested by May 31st. So if they requested on May 31st, I will do my best to get the request processed, but they have to be registered for the class on May 31st. If they don't get in on May 31st, this last fall, they moved them so quickly that there was no chance of getting in late. So if they'll start moving class concurrent enrollment seats to our traditional students the next day. So make sure that your students are aware they have to be registered by May 31st. Last day to withdraw for spring semester is going to be March 21st, and then all instructor applications are due March 31st. That includes ongoing and new instructor applications. If they've already turned in an MOU, no, they don't have to do an electronic one. It would be helpful for us because we can see the electronic ones on the support tickets and we don't have to go looking for it. So it would be helpful if they do one, but they don't necessarily have to. We'll still look for them. And I went through that pretty fast. So I've been getting a lot of questions about the gen ed stuff and whatever, so I wanted to make sure we had plenty of time to answer questions. So, really quick, I'm just gonna say our next meeting is gonna be on March 20th. And, we'll have some time for questions, concerns, and discussions. What is an MOU? Helen, you probably won't have to deal with the MOU quite so much. This is for students that are taking classes on our campus. So the concurrent on campus program, they have to sign a understanding, a memorandum of understanding that they need to follow. Basically, it kind of goes over all the rules of concurrent on campus. Yep, I can do that. So we're gonna go here. So if you go to our website and go into the concurrent on campus, the electronic MOU, there is nope, where is it? I thought he put a link on here. So they probably have to log into their MyCE to do the electronic MOU. I thought he had a link on here, but I don't see it on here. So they just have to log into their and I'll have Brandon fix this, but they have to log into their MyCE to sign the electronic MOU. So this is going to be a different MOU. So there's the parent permission form that they have to sign for USHE. If they're taking classes on our campus with our instructors, there's a separate MOU that they have to fill out. It's basically this, but it's electronic, and it kind of goes through with the concurrent on campus program. We've had a lot of students that were confused about concurrent on campus. And so we had to make it very clear what the rules were between that and taking it at their high school. So that's just a separate MOU for concurrent on campus specifically. The academic planning tool is actually, they've made that very, very comprehensive. They select a pathway, and it kind of helps them pick gen ed classes that are more suited towards what they're wanting their degree to be in. So like when they're moving into college, with the gen ed certificate, they're taking just whatever gen ed classes are available. And those may change. Those may not be conducive. It may not fulfill what there is required for their degree. So like with the, I'm gonna actually pull this up. Hold on. I'm gonna pull this form up. Coordinator resources. And I think he renamed it. This is the one right here. So this is the one that we're using now. So it kind of still is a checklist telling them what they should take. But this is our academic planning tool will actually tell them, don't take physics 1010 because that's part of your, you're going to be taking physics 1210 or whatever it is that's required for that degree. So there's no reason for you to take a physical science. So this kind of tells you a little more about that and why, it's more degree driven, more pathway driven, so that they're not taking classes that they're just going to have to retake or that doesn't really do any good for them. Deanne, the agenda was attached to the calendar, so you can just open it from your calendar and print it, your calendar invite. Will you have teachers listed before it? That's completely up to our scheduling office. So the departments have to, decide who's teaching what. So there's no way for us to know who's teaching and make sure that there's teachers listed on the classes for concurrent on campus. So I can't guarantee teachers will be listed before the May 31st deadline. classes available for on-campus seating. They are more limited. We kind of knew that was going to happen when they changed everything. There's not, as far as I know, they're not planning to add more concurrent enrollment classes. We're gonna be limited for a while. I will have to ask Brandon about giving you guys access to academic planning tool. I think you guys do have access to look at your students' academic plans. But I'll ask him. And
I haven't been able to find any, Becky. I have
No?
some that have completed them with the advisors
Uh-huh,
on campus, and
uh-huh,
I can't see them.
huh. Okay. I'll see. I'll have to talk to Brandon about that because you guys should be able to see that. I know the counselors do, but I don't, first coordinators probably don't. So I'll talk to him about getting access for all the coordinators as well. So yeah, so you'll see like on this one, the program requirements are Chem 1210, Chem 1215. So they don't need a physical science. They should take this Chem 1210 and 1215 instead. So that's why the academic planning tool is great, is because it's helping students to be a little more intentional about the classes that they're taking. Okay. I'll talk to Brandon to see if there's something what we can do as far as the academic planning tool to give you guys access. Just so you guys are all aware, I am going to be out all next week. So if you have late registrations, I need you guys to get those in ASAP. I will be working. I have to drive down to Moab. I'm flying out of Moab Saturday morning. So I will be working to make sure all of the late registrations are processed Friday night. But next week, I won't be here and they will not get processed. So make sure if you have late registrations, they are in today or tomorrow. Because I'm not working next week. I'll be in Cancun on a beach. One more thing that I didn't have on here that somebody brought up, the SSID issues. I know I have mentioned it before. The SSID issue thing in my CE does not work. We're not using that anymore. You do not need to send those in anymore because we don't even look at them. We just resolve them. So just if you're seeing SSID issues, just ignore them. You don't need to do those anymore. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, this Cancun trip. So I'm excited. Is there a place to check if teachers have linked their Canvas courses to SLCC? Where do we check to see if, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Let me look. I'm gonna go in as one of you. I'm gonna log in as you, okay, Helen? And I don't know why you're in here twice. Awesome. And we'll just do this.
Yeah, delete the Jordan district. It's because I used to be in Jordan district.
Yeah, I just, they shouldn't have added you in here twice. They should have just changed you. The instructors. Let's see. Let's see if it shows it on the class. No, it doesn't. Usually it shows it on the instructor and I'm not seeing it on there. So I'm not seeing it on your view. So I will talk to Brandon about that too.
Thank you.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Even if you have questions on how to do something, like send in an instructor application, I'm here. I said I'm gonna be gone all next week, so now's your chance to ask me all the questions you possibly have.
Becky, I left you a voicemail, and I just emailed it to you as well. I'm just trying to find an S number for this kiddo. So if you could check into that for me. So if
Yep,
there is one that I can send a form over for a late registration to you.
yeah, okay. And I
Thank you.
think I sent that over to our admissions office. I was waiting to hear back on him, so.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the only kiddo I've got in question, as far as late tickets go. So
Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Thanks, Dan.
And have a fabulous time.
I will. I definitely will.
Okay.
You
It
so
will be
deserve
warm
it,
there,
huh?
and there will be no snow.
Yeah.
Don't
If
think about
nothing
all the
else, I
snow
will
that
be
you're
warm.
missing.
Becky, Becky,
Yeah,
could you just in a nutshell, like registration is going to open up in March, mid-March.
mhm.
So just in a nutshell,
Well,
We-
the schedule will be open mid-March.
The
You're
schedule will
gonna
be
follow
open.
the academic planning or the academic calendar. So whatever the priority registration date is when they'll be able to start registering.
okay, and then so just tell me what that looks like one more time, just in a nutshell. The students are registering themselves.
Yeah, so you'll still send in a request. We'll give them access to register, and then they will, once that's been processed, they can go in and register themselves. It's happening
you-
usually within 24 hours unless you send it to us, Friday evening.
Okay,
It's usually
and then when we
next,
send in the
next business
request,
day.
what needs to be included in the request?
The only thing we really need is like the course that they're requesting. It has to be a specific CRN. So you'll just
Okay.
select they select the CRN that they want. You send that in and we'll give them access. for
Okay,
up to
does
3
that
classes.
open? So we just need the CRN. Do we need a specific section?
Yeah, so the CRN would have the specific section. So each
Okay.
section is gonna have its own CRN. You just can't send in something that says, give them access to English 1010, because if we give them access to English 1010, it'll give them access to all of our traditional classes and they'll get charged full price. So we have to, it has to be a specific section.
But I thought like if there was English 1010, I thought that there might have been like say 3,
Mhm.
they would all have their own section number.
Yeah.
So
So,
do we?
but
so should
the
we-
CRNs are connected to those specific sections. So you don't need to
Oh.
put the section number in. We just need to
Okay.
put the specific
The
CRN.
Okay. And what about like transcripts or the students are going to send in their scores.
Yeah,
And-
so if they have prerequisites, you'll need to send in, like, if it's for English 1010 and they need ACT scores or like that, you can still send those in. You'll want to send those on a separate ticket though, because
But
they're
those all come, the ACT scores, they need to come from ACT, right? Are we able to send them?
Yeah, they do need to come from ACT. Some schools do have the ACT scores on their official transcripts, and you can send official transcripts with ACT scores, and our data center will enter those.
Okay,
AP scores have to come from College Board. We don't take those on transcripts anymore.
and should we still send in transcripts, even though there might be a transcript from past?
You
When
don't
we do
necessarily have to send in transcripts,
Okay,
unless you're trying to get ACT scores to
Unless
us
you're trying to
faster
get
than
ACT.
ACT would get them to us.
right. Okay,
So yeah, as far as concurrent on campus requests, they have to do the MOU, and then you just send in the request and we'll give them access to register.
okay. And then they're going to pop up in our MyCE account.
Yes, yeah. You'll be able to see them once they've registered for the class.
Okay,
On the support ticket, once they've been given access, it'll show as resolved. And that's when you know that they can go in and register. But Usually if you just tell them that you can register, 24
Mhm.
hours or the next business day, they should be good to register. So
Okay.
it goes done pretty quickly.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I'm in a meeting and these guys are in there, but I don't think the copy machine will bother them. They're just doing course selection. Oh, maybe my meeting.
And if you don't have any questions, you can leave. You don't have to stay, but
You want to
completely
just,
up to
I'm
you.
very, that chair.
We had a little incident. Well, she had an incident today with Zora. Yeah, well, you were there too.
The deadline passed for the Prime Scholarship. Are you talking about the concurrent enrollment scholarship or the USHE scholarship? Mario? I am not sure. I don't know what the deadline is for that. Haven't been paying attention to the USHE scholarships. And you might want to reach out to your advisor. They might know that. Did I miss any questions? Okay, does anybody else have questions?
Becky, I have a very specific Brighton trimester question, but I can wait
Okay.
until.
That's fine.
So our trimester doesn't begin until after you're on vacation. It starts
Mhm.
3rd.
Yes.
Do you want us, so we won't be able to actually start registering students until March 3rd? Will you be back from vacation?
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. I'm just gonna be gone next week. That's it. I'll be
Okay,
back following Monday.
all right, thank you.
Mhm. Anybody have any questions specifically how to use my CE or anything like that? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude the meeting. If you have questions, give me a call or send me an email.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Becky, have fun.
I will.